I was recently flipping through my Neo era binder when I realized that there are actually quite a few cards that have some differences between the Japanese and English release versions. Some had entirely different release methodology, some featured different artwork, and one card was actually released in an entirely different era. In today's video, I'm going to document them all. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I've segmented these differences into different categories. We'll go ahead and dive right into the first one, which is going to be the Neo Premium files. So there were 3 different Neo Premium files released. And if you're not familiar with what the Neo Premium file is, it was essentially just a file folder that came with 9 different promotional cards. So we'll go ahead and get right into the first one, which is Neo Premium File 1, which released alongside the set Gold Silver to a New World, which is the equivalent of the English set Neo Genesis. And we'll go line by line, and it was essentially just the entire evolutionary line for the Johto starters. So of course we had Chikorita, Bayleaf, and Meganium. Really cool swirl on that one. And what's worth noting is all of these cards were pullable from booster packs on the English side. The only way to get them on the Japanese side was to buy the premium file number 1. We'll go ahead and continue over to Cyndaquil. So obviously Cyndaquil here, Quilava, and Typhlosion. Obviously you'll see here the Neo Genesis set symbol. And of course, rounding it out with my personal favorite from the Johto starter trio, Totodile. We'll have Croconaw, and of course we'll have Feraligatr. And if you're ever out in the wild and find Japanese cards with the Neo Genesis set symbol, they're actually pullable cards for each of the starters. And then of course, these that came in Neo Premium File 1. If you are trying to figure out which one came from the actual booster pack and which one came from the premium file, you'll go ahead and look down here. The ones that came from the premium file do not feature a set symbol. Every single premium file 1 came with these cards, so there is no rarity symbol attached to these. So we'll move into Neo Premium File 2 now. This one was released alongside the set Crossing the Ruins. This is the equivalent of the English set Neo Discovery. So the first row featured unknowns. So you had Unknown N, Unknown E, and Unknown O, obviously spelling the name of the era, Neo. And again, those were also pullable just straight from booster packs on the English side. The next row featured Espeon, Eevee, and Umbreon. So the interesting thing here, the Espeon and Umbreon were pullable on the English side from booster packs, but the Eevee, this artwork actually doesn't exist on the English side. It was never released in English, so this is a Japanese exclusive artwork, which is pretty cool. And then probably the coolest cards, in my opinion, from the premium files is the final row from Premium File 2. These are the really cool Cosmo Holofoil reverse cards. You'll actually notice they don't have the associated set symbol like the rest from the Neo Premium files, but you have the reverse holo Pichu, the reverse holo Entei, and the reverse holo Charizard. So the Pichu was released in English as a Black Star promo that was obtainable in the Pokemon League by competing in the TCG. The Entei was also released in English. This was actually handed out at the theatrical release for the 3rd Pokemon movie, Spell of the Unknown Entei. I actually remember getting this in theaters when me and my family went to see the movie. And the Charizard card actually was never released in English. So this artwork is also exclusive to the Japanese side of the hobby. And it's actually one of the cooler Charizard arts, in my opinion. And we'll move into the 3rd and final premium file. This one was associated with the set Awakening Legends, Neo 3. On the English side, that would be Neo Revelation. And you had the box art legendaries. You had Lugia, Ho-Oh, and you also had Skarmory to round out the flying trio. And you'll see Ho-Oh's wings here, so kind of like some overlapping artwork. You'll see obviously Skarmory here and Lugia down here. So it's kind of like they're forming a circle. The next row featured Sudowoodo, Celebi, and Sneasel. And the final row, again, sticking with the theme of Awakening Legends, you have the Legendary Beast Trio, my favorite legendaries of all time. So you'll have Entei, Raikou, and Suicune. So all of those cards that you saw, obviously with the exception of the Eevee and the Charizard, which never released on English, all the other ones were released in English. Anyone that had the set symbol was pullable from the booster packs, whereas the ones that didn't, the Entei and the Pichu, were released through different means as Black Star promos. The second category that I've kind of grouped these into is going to be called banned artworks or alternative artworks. So there's just a couple here. There's 3 from Neo 1 or Neo Genesis, and the first 2 are extremely similar, so we can do them together. So you'll have arcade game, and you'll also have card flip game. So these 2 are banned artworks on the English side of the hobby, so they were completely changed. They were adjusted to just have the square where the illustration is just be the screen of the games that are featured on the cards themselves, essentially just removing the casino environment because I'm assuming they did not think it was appropriate to promote that kind of environment and gambling to children. So I'll pop up some images on the screen really quick of what they look like on the English side, just more zoomed in, again, on the game screen itself. The third banned art, also from Neo 1, Neo Genesis, I think this one is one of the more well-known banned arts, of course, is going to be Moo Moo Milk. And obviously, it was banned or adjusted for the global release because it features Sentret drinking milk directly from the udder. I don't need to convince me why this one was adjusted. But the English version, again, I'll throw it up on screen. It's kind of like a barn with a bunch of kegs of milk, and then has Cleffa just standing in the doorway. So this art was completely changed. And to round out this category, I also wanted to include something that I kind of just refer to as like an alternative art. So in Neo 2, Crossing the Ruins, or the English set Neo Discovery, you have the Ruin Wall, which features the Kabuto puzzle from the Gen 2 games. This was pullable, obviously, from packs in Japanese, also on the English side, but the Japanese side actually had 2 different versions of this. It was the same card, just different artwork. It also featured the Aerodactyl artwork. So on the Japanese side, you could pull either the Kabuto or the Aerodactyl. Again, the same exact card as Ruin Wall. They have the same ability, just 2 different artworks, whereas on the English side, you were only pulling the Kabuto. So a nice little variation there. I'm surprised they didn't do all 4 because there was also the puzzle for Ho-Oh and the puzzle for Ammonite as well. But a cool little touch to have an extra art style for that card. The third category that I've grouped some of these cards into is just going to be generally referred to as holofoil cards. So because the Japanese and English releases were slightly different, with that difference being English cards actually also featuring non-holo rares as part of their sets, whereas Japanese was just common, uncommon, and then the holo rare. English had common, uncommon, non-holo rare, and holo rare. Some of the cards were adjusted to be non-holo rare. So on the English side, obviously we looked at premium files. Those were usually integrated into the set as non-holo rares that were pullable from packs. But to fill the sets out a little bit more and balance out the different rarities, some cards were actually downgraded from holofoil in Japanese to non-holofoil rares on the English side. This particularly applies to 2 sets. So we'll start with Neo Discovery, where on the Japanese side, you will have both Butterfree and Beedrill featured as holographic cards. But on the English side, these 2 were actually downgraded to non-holo rares that were pullable from packs. And then in Neo 3, Neo Revelation, we have quite a few actually that were downgraded to be non-holo rares. And we'll go ahead and actually start out with one card from the premium file. So the Celebi from the premium file number 3 was actually downgraded to a non-holo rare. There's actually also another holo Celebi already in the set, so that was probably why they went ahead and knocked this one down so that it matched everything else from the premium file that was being used as a non-holo rare on the English side. And then a couple of others that were downgraded on the English side. So Aerodactyl was holo for Japanese, non-holo rare for English. The same applies to the Kingdra. And the Starmie is the last one. It's a shame that they did downgrade them, because obviously I love this holofoil pattern. I think that makes the cards pop really, really well. But obviously, like I mentioned, it was to kind of balance out the set to satisfy the Western version of the releases and to be able to have enough volume in that non-holo rare spot. And then the last card, I think this one might potentially be the most interesting, is going to be the Dark Raichu Holo. So this on the Japanese side was released in Neo 2, Crossing the Ruins. You'll obviously see it but with the Neo Discovery set symbol there. On the English side of the hobby, this was actually released as the first secret rare. It was numbered 83 out of 82 for the Team Rocket set. So that's actually the era that comes before Neo. And interestingly, Team Rocket actually released in the West before Crossing the Ruins released in Japan. So this card was actually released in English first, which is extremely rare in the hobby. It's one of the very few that actually was featured on the English side before the Japanese side, making this card super unique. And I also just really, really love the artwork on this one. Those were all the major differences between the Japanese and English releases for the 4 main Neo sets. You may have noticed that Neo 4, or the English version is Neo Destiny, was never mentioned throughout the video, and that's because it's the only Neo set to remain completely identical between the two regions, with all 113 cards being pullable for both Japanese and English packs. As always, I appreciate you checking out the video. I'll see you in the next one.